This is Jeff Swampy Marsh, the voice of Major Monogram and co-creator of Phineas and Ferb and Milo Murphy's Law, and you're watching Bois podcast. It's AUKA approved.
What? Look, I'm getting messages from some diabolically clever hacker who goes by the sinister initials TTYL.
Sir, that means talk to you later. If you scroll down, you can see that message was from me.
Oh, I see. That's, it's very clever. Good morning, Agent P. Beat it, Carl, I'm on. Sources tell us that Doofenshmirtz is ROTFL. We don't know what that means, but it sounds dangerous.
Sir, ROTFL means...
Not now, Carl. I'm briefing Agent P. So, get out there and good hunting. Oh, no, Carl, now it just says QQQQQQQ.
It means your thumb is on the Q key, sir.
1 bag of pistachios, please.
It's pronounced pistachio.
That's how she said it.
Don't speak to the customers.
I wasn't speaking to customers. I was speaking to you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Bois Podcast. My guest today is an animator, writer, director, producer, storyboard artist, voice actor, president, Grand Poobah at Surfer Jack Productions, and director at Walk on Water. You may know him as a producer on The Simpsons, writer and director on Rocko's Modern Life, storyboard artist on King of the Hill, and you may have heard his voice as Major Monogram in the show he co-created Phineas and Ferb, and Balthazar Cavendish in another show he co-created Milo Murphy's Law, and Pete's dad in a show he developed, Pete the Cat, and many more. So welcome legend, Mr. Jeff Swampy Marsh. Welcome, Swampy.
Thanks for having me, man. That was a nice intro.
It's like a nice little resume, you know.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good career, man.
Yeah. Now, Swampy, what have you been up to? How are you doing, Swampy?
Good. It's been busy. We've got a new show that we're putting together for Disney Junior called Hey AJ, which is based on a series of kids' books written by a former NFL Super Bowl football player called Martellus Bennett. He wrote these books for his daughter, and we got together with him and made it into a show. And Disney Junior liked it, and so we're partway through pre-production. We're setting up an animation studio, overseas animation studio in Manchester, in England. I'm in development on another show over at Nickelodeon, and we're in internal development on probably 7 other projects that I can't even talk about. And keeping my personal life going like crazy too. My son's moving out to take his first job, going all the way across the country, and it's all moving. So all's good.
Awesome. It's cool too. I think he used to, if I remember correctly, play with my hometown team, the Chicago Bears.
Oh yeah, no, he played all over. He got his Super Bowl rings from, I think it was when he was with the Patriots.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's played all over. He and his brother, the Bennett brothers, both.
Him and Michael, I think, if I remember correctly, his brother's name is.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Wow.
Very cool.
It's awesome. Okay. Well, I'll be sure to watch that. Just to, help you guys out, help support.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Yeah. Oh. Now, what made you want to become an animator, director, and voice actor? Who would you say is your biggest inspiration for all those professions? Swampy?
Well, I'll tell you, I had a weird path. I've done almost every job you could possibly think of. I started out doing concrete construction work. I've done janitor work, bartender work. I did car detailing when I was first living in England. I did telemarketing. And then I got into the computer industry where I was in sales and then marketing. I was the vice president of sales and marketing for a computer accessories company way back when. And then at 28, I just decided none of it meant anything to me. And I was afraid that I was going to get stuck for the rest of my life in a job that I just didn't care about. And I quit. And I was lucky enough to have a friend who was in the animation business who said, hey, I've seen your drawings. Why don't you get a job in animation? And I thought, okay, that sounds great. I love drawing. How do you do that? And he helped me put a portfolio together. And about 3 months later, through another friend of a friend, I ended up getting a job on The Simpsons, second season, drawing backgrounds. And that's where it started. And it was the best possible job in the whole wide world. And like I said, I should know because I've tried all the other ones. The list of jobs I've had before that is crazy, stupid long.
Wow.
And this was just a joyous, wonderful, crazy, great experience. Within 4 years, I was writing on and directing over at Rocco's Modern Life for Nickelodeon, which was where we were working with Dan when we created Phineas and Ferb. That was back in 1993. And then a short 13 years later, we sold it to Disney. In the meantime, I've worked literally all over the world. I've done projects in Russia, Singapore, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, England. I worked over there for 6 years. I've gotten to work in Ireland, China.
Wow. Like all over the place.
Taiwan, we've been over there, and yeah, it's just been absolutely fantastic. And now I have my own studio. We just partnered up with a bunch of really great guys, so we now have Surfing Giant Studios, and we're off and running, and I'm still having a great time doing this gig.
Wow. And anybody did you like watch, like watching grow up? Like any voice actors or shows you liked watching?
I grew up, to me, my heroes, animation-wise, were all of the original, like Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. That's what we used to get up early in the morning and watch. Other than that, my favorite was Rocky and Bullwinkle, Jay Ward. I loved his humor, and he was the first guy that I felt did what we always tried to do with Phineas and Ferb, is I felt that he treated the audience as if they were intelligent. None of his stuff talked down to kids. And because of that, watching his shows, I always felt like he was treating me as a smart human. And I always wanted, when I started writing, I wanted to do that. I wanted to give the audience credit for being smarter than people thought they were. And still love watching old Jay Ward cartoons, Rocky and Bullwinkle and Tom Slick and George of the Jungle and Super Chicken, and love all that stuff. And
Classics.
Voiceover artists, he had some of the best. I think one of my obscure fave voiceover people was a guy named Stan Freeburg.
Okay.
Stan Freeburg did a lot of ads, did a lot of voices for cartoons. If you remember the old Bugs Bunny, he was the voice of Pete Puma. He was the one who said, "I'm Mrs. Rabbit, the little feller's mother, and I've been worried about him." And that's Stan. But Stan also was an ad man. He did musical parodies. He was hysterical. And so I loved everything about him.
That's really cool. And I think you're very talented at what you do, like animating, directing, voice acting. You're very talented, Swampy.
We write the music, and yeah, it's fun. I'm just glad that I got into a gig where they let us do all of that stuff.
Awesome. Now, what is your favorite thing you've animated and your favorite voice you've done? Your voice.
Voice-wise, I mean, you can't go wrong with Major Monogram just because he's so beloved. But as far as a fun voice to do on a regular basis, I think it would have to be Balthazar Cavendish. There's just something wonderful about his kind of low-key arrogance and intolerance. And yet, what I loved about that relationship with he and Dakota was it was clear they really cared about each other in their own unique ways. And it's just a fun voice to fall into, and I find it really very easy to be Balthazar Cavendish, protector of pistachios.
Oh my goodness, that's so cool. Sorry.
It's just fun. But I've done a bunch. It was really kind of an honor to do the voice of Dad for Pete the Cat. I had to step in for Elvis Costello in second season, which are some pretty big boots to fill because he got really busy. And that was fun to do, and I got to sing and stuff, so loved that.
How about the things you've animated? Do you have a favorite of those things you've animated? Would you say?
Well, you can't go wrong with Phineas and Ferb. I mean, the fact that we got to create that and it had the kind of impact that it did on people literally all around the world, and I don't go a day ever without somebody reaching out to me somewhere, either personally or on social media or in an email, telling me about what that show meant to them. And the fact that I'm lucky enough to have even one show that had that kind of impact on people is just crazy. And I don't take it for granted. And I'm grateful every day for every part of bringing that show to life. And if I never do anything great again, I'm okay with that, because I got to do Phineas and Ferb. And how cool is that?
Sorry, that's really touching. Sorry, Swampy. That show was a big part of my childhood. Like when that came out, I think I was like 6 years old. Believe it or not, Swampy. So thank you.
Yeah, wait. So we came on the air in, I think it was officially on the air. We had the sneak peek in 7, and then the official premiere in February of 2008.
It's crazy how time flies. You know what I mean?
Oh man. Oh, I know. I can't believe it.
Yeah. Now, if you wouldn't mind, can you do some of Major Monogram's voice? Sorry to ask.
I certainly can, and I can do it without violating any of the strict OWCA regulations, as long as I don't give out any actual missions. If I make any mistakes, I'm sure Carl will leap in and stop me.
That's so cool. If you don't mind, can you say great googly moogly?
Great googly moogly. I was so glad I got to bring that back. Great googly moogly was, I think the first time I heard it was, what's my brain is the mothers of invention. Frank Zappa. First time I heard it when I was really young, and then somebody used it in a commercial years later, and I was just keen to bring it back somewhere. So the first chance I could. Great googly moogly. It's such a fun thing to say.
Yeah, it's iconic too. Like in my opinion, it's like an iconic quote. You know,
it's pretty good.
Now, can you like walk me through the creation process? Like, how did you and Dan Povenmire like create Phineas and Ferb? Can you like walk me through?
It was actually, I mean, Dan and I just loved working together from the moment that we first got to write together. I mean, we sat across from each other on The Simpsons. I think that was 4th season. And then when I got the gig over at Rocco's Modern Life, the first person I called was Dan. Said, you got to get over here. They're letting us write and storyboard without a script, just like they made the original old cartoons. And he came over and got a gig. And originally they didn't put us together as a team. I was working with Steve Hillenburg first, who went on to create SpongeBob. He was my first writing partner. And then after, I think I did 3 episodes with Steve, and then they reshuffled the teams, put Dan and I together, and it was just a match made in heaven. We have the same comedy language, the same comedy DNA. It was just so easy writing with him. And after the first episode, we were like, okay, we need to create a show together and keep working together. That was the whole reason to do Phineas and Ferb. So we just started trying to figure out what that show would be. And I think Phineas and Ferb was really kind of born from that conversation that Dan and I were having even back then. We weren't quite middle-aged, but it was kind of a middle-aged guy conversation about how kids today didn't get out and do stuff. They were sitting in front of the TV watching videos or playing video games. We didn't have cell phones then, but we just thought it was a shame that kids didn't do the kind of things that we did when we were young, like getting out and building tree houses and go-karts and putting on plays and concerts. And we used to do some pretty bonkers stuff. And we were both lucky enough to have parents that encouraged us to do that. And we thought, wouldn't it be great to kind of celebrate, that spirit in kids, a couple of 9, 10-year-old kids who could do anything, without worrying about the finances or the laws of physics or reality. What would you do as a 9 or 10-year-old kid if you could do anything? And that was it.
Wow.
And then Dan did a drawing of Phineas, that first triangle-headed drawing of Phineas, and brought it in and said, I think this is our guy. And he'd done a couple other drawings based on that original geometric shape. And it was like, yeah, I love that guy. And so we put the show together over a couple of months, and then spent the next 13 years pitching it to anybody who would listen, and getting turned down every single time.
Wow. They turned out such an iconic show, you know what I mean? They should have picked it up. Iconic show.
Well, I'm just glad we kept pitching it and didn't listen to what anybody said when they gave us notes.
Wow. That is, now, who would you say then you're more like then? Do you say you're more like Phineas or more like Ferb?
We are both kind of equal parts, both of those characters, but I have noticed when we're together, Dan tends to be a little more Phineas. I tend to hold back and wait to the end and deliver a button, for lack of a better word. Generally. But it's funny because Ferb is based on a real person who's a friend of mine, who Dan and I have known for way too long now. Probably since the late 80s.
Wow.
And his name's Ferb, and he's a set builder. He built all the sets for like all the Star Trek television series, and great guy. And the only difference is Ferb doesn't talk. Ferb talks a lot. The real Ferb talks a lot. He's really talkative, but he has more tools than any human I know.
That's cool though. Like you and Dan are like a dynamic duo, in my opinion, like a dynamic duo.
It's very good. Yeah. And now he's doing a show on his own, Hamster and Gretel, which looks great. I saw the original little pilot piece. I got to go over and do a couple voices on it with him, and it looks fabulous. So can't wait to see that.
Awesome. Now, can you walk me through like the audition process? Like, how did you get the role of Major Monogram? Like, how did you approach that?
Well, it was funny because we'd always done those voices. Dan doing Doofenshmirtz and me doing Monogram. It's just sort of, how we always heard it. And when we got to Disney, they had some policies against showrunners and executive producers also doing voices, which we couldn't figure out why. But apparently, I guess in the past, somebody had abused that privilege somehow. And so they made us go out and audition a bunch of other actors and get down to 3 picks. So we did, which was just sort of weird because we were, in essence, auditioning people and directing them to sound like us, like doing impressions of us. And so at the end of it, we got down to our 3 picks, Dan and 2 other Doofenshmirtzes and me and 2 other Monograms. And then they said, after listening to them, they said, well, which one do you guys like? We were like, well, we like us. We've always liked us. We wouldn't have auditioned people. Why did you put those actors through that? Yeah. And they went, okay. So we got the role, but we did have to audition people to try to do basically an impression of us, which we thought was kind of stupid. But there you go.
Wow. See, they should have like one with you. Like that's crazy. Wow. Dang,
yeah, it was a little odd, to say the least.
Now, favorite Phineas and Ferb character besides Major Monogram, and favorite Phineas and Ferb song?
Oh, well, you know, the theme song and Gitchy Gitchy Goo, because those were kind of the first two things we wrote. And Gitchy Gitchy Goo was the one that Dan and I wrote that got Disney to ask us to write a song in every episode.
Wow.
Because it was also, they didn't want the showrunners and producers writing songs as well.
That's wow.
And then we wrote Gitchy Gitchy Goo, you know, basically as a placeholder because we needed something for the show. Mm-hmm. And when the executives at Disney heard it, one of the guys went, "Oh my God, that's great. Who wrote that?" And we went, "We did." He said, "Oh, cool. Can you write one for every episode?" And we went, yeah, we can. So I love those because they were kind of the first that was really just, you know, Dan and I. But some of the songs that we've written over time, you know, Summer Belongs to You is just an amazingly wonderful, uplifting tune. It's fantastic. But there's a lot in there. I really liked, you know, a weird little quirky one was Meatloaf, which we wrote as an Oasis spoof, you know, an ode to Meatloaf. And we got Davy Jones of the Monkees, who has since passed away, and Peter Noon of Herman's Hermits to come sing it as the band Tiny Cowboy. And that was just tons of fun. So there have been some great ones. So those are my favorite songs. What was the other one you asked me? Favorite characters?
Yes, character.
Or favorite episodes?
Favorite character? Like, do you have a favorite besides Monogram? You know, of course you know.
Other than Monogram?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, Perry the Platypus, because everybody loves him. And he was just such a fun character to do, and that whole relationship with him and Doofenshmirtz. And I love writing a character who's, you know, doesn't speak. That's just a ton of fun.
That's cool too. Like when you say, "I can't do it," but Agent P, I can't do it. Like how you do it. It's so cool.
Morning, Agent P. The evil Dr. Doofenshmirtz is up to no good again.
I'm sorry. That's so cool. You understand? When I hear you do that, Swampy, I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Thank you. Oh my God.
It's fun to do, man.
So, and then I think if I remember correctly too, I think Perry is voiced by D. Bradley Baker, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. D, you know, just
so much.
Listening to him create that sound and how he did it was so impressive. And it's just a silly thing, but he can contort his face and make that, you know, and his is just so perfect.
Yeah. Now, any cool and unknown facts about Phineas and Ferb that no one really knows, except me, of course, you guys?
I don't know. I mean, I think at this point, everybody knows everything there is to know about that show. Dan and I are pretty open about talking about it. I mean, some of the funny stuff that makes me laugh is people are still trying to put forward the proposition that Doofenshmirtz is Phineas's dad, and he's just not. And it's funny, I've had people argue with me online, and people argue with Dan. They're like, "Is it true that Doofenshmirtz is really Phineas's dad?" I'm like, "No."
Oh.
And they'll go, "Yeah, but I think it is." It's like, okay, then don't ask us, because we can pretty much show in the show with the information given that that's impossible. But okay, if you want to still believe it, that's fine. But don't argue with me. If you're asking me, listen to the answer we give you. And there's some weird, like that creepy pasta stuff where people are like, the Phineas and Ferb was based on the diary of this insane Russian girl who told stories that she imagined about her two brothers who tragically, it's this really dark and awful.
What?
And people will ask me if it's true. And I'm like, no, why would you think that could possibly be true? And
Oh my
and how would that actually work? Let's just talk about it logically. So Dan and I find somewhere the diary of this crazy Russian girl and read it because we read Russian, I guess.
Yeah.
And then decide to go to Disney and say, hey, would you like to make a happy kid show based on this diary of a crazy Russian girl who's imagining stories about her two dead brothers? So none of it makes any sense, but people still ask me about it. Like, is that true? It's like, no, it is not true.
How does oh my god, sorry.
The other thing that people are always asking that, and we've said this a lot, so I'll say it again. People are always like, when are we going to ever find out who Phineas's real father is, or you know? And it's like, no. Because, the real father is Lawrence. He's the guy who's there doing the job. He's their dad. They call him dad. That's all that's important. And it was much more important for us to show a blended family, step parents that are just a functioning, happy family. And so we don't want to tell the story of what went before. It's not important to the story that we're telling. So, we've said quite clearly, no, we will never talk about that because it's not important to the message and the story that we're telling about these characters. For me, it was just important because I grew up with a lot of stepdads. And I just wanted to show a family that was, a good, positive, functioning, happy family that was a step family. Because you don't get to see that enough in kids' television.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Wow.
So those are all the deep, dark hidden. I don't know.
I keep hearing though, Isabella, from Phineas and Ferb, they keep saying that Major Monogram's her dad. Oh, I keep hearing that from people.
Really?
Yeah. Never heard that one.
That's a new one. I haven't heard that one. That's funny.
It's like,
okay.
It's like, where do they get that from? Like, what?
That's excellent. All right.
So you got a daughter now.
I'll add that one now. That's funny. Okay.
Now, would you be willing to come back and portray Major Monogram again? Like, if they asked you to do one more episode like that?
Oh yeah, we've always said absolutely. I love doing this show, and there was never any. We didn't come ask them to stop making the show. Mm-hmm. That was an internal Disney, decision, and I think at the time they just sort of. What had happened is they wanted to change the kind of show we were making. We were making, 11-minute episodes, and they had thought that they wanted us to do just a series of like tentpole specials, like the hour-long specials. And both Dan and I looked at it and we said, that's not something we really are interested in doing with these characters. We don't think it serves them well. Without the series, the specials don't really work for us. The same way. And given that choice, we said we'd much rather, do a proper ending to the series. And, because also animated cartoon series don't get to do that. So we actually got to bookend the series, and we thought that was much more powerful for the characters. So, if, when they came back and asked us if we wanted to do the Candace Against the Universe, we're like, yeah, oh, absolutely. We love these characters. And, the truth be told, if they came back and said they wanted to, do more stuff, we'd figure out a way. We just didn't want to change the show from those, regular series into just hour-long specials.
Yeah.
So, who knows? I'll be back to do Monogram anytime anybody wants me to.
That'd be cool, because it'd be like the comeback, comeback special, whatever you want to call it, the comeback episode.
I don't know. We'll figure it out when they ask.
Now, is there anything you like to animate in a role you would love to portray in any movie or show? Anything coming to mind?
Say that again?
Oh, sorry about that. Is there any role you would love to like animate, or any like any role you love to portray, like in all what you've seen? Like, would you like to animate like an episode, for example, Rocky and Bullwinkle, like you said, if you go back in time?
I'd love to work with the J. Ward characters. That would be fun. Absolutely. And I'd love to figure out a way to do, a show that was, based on surfing, or a musically based show that's just, because those are things that are near and dear to my heart. So, love to do that.
So how about a surfing musical show? Is it like that almost in a way? It's like that.
That would probably be perfect for me.
Surfing musical show. I like that.
Musical surfing show. So if anybody wants to fund that, you have them give me a call. Anybody listening will do it.
I like that. That's actually, I don't know if I told you too, Swampy, as a career, I want to become a director. So maybe I could direct that. Because I also like to write scripts too, so.
Nice. Oh, good luck. It's the best job ever, so pursue it fully. It's a ton of fun.
And maybe I can make that.
Absolutely fantastic.
Make that musical surfing show for you. Cool.
Well, surf music is also one of my favorites, so I'd be more than happy to.
Do you like the Beach Boys?
Oh yeah, Beach Boys and the Surfaris and Jan and Dean, and the list is endless. I've got tons of surf music, and I've written some surf songs. I've got a surf song on iTunes and Spotify right now that I wrote with a couple of buddies of mine as a tribute to Howley, the surfing dog that used to come to our Walk on Water events and surf with the kids. And he passed away a couple years ago, and so we wrote a song and put it up. And all of the proceeds that we get from that go toward a Walk on Water, the surf therapy organization that I'm in. So you can go and look it up. It's called Howley Boy Surfs, HAOLEBOY Surfs, and it was done by me and Tom Freund and Wally Ingram, and it's all of us playing on it. It's a cute little surf song.
I like that. And sorry for your loss, Swampy.
Yeah, it was a tough one. He was so great with the kids, and it was pretty excellent. His work with the kids was fantastic, and he is missed. But there you go.
Wow. Now, over the years of your career, do you still keep in touch with co-stars and directors, like people you worked with? Would you say
Oh yeah. I'm still working now here at Surfing Giant with Bernie, who is one of our writers and storyboard artists on Phineas. Lance, who is our head of production. He was one of the production people on Phineas. And yeah, we all see each other. It's a small business, so we see each other everywhere. And I work with the same voice talent, regularly. Allison Stoner, who was Isabella, had a regular. She was one of our cats on Pete the Cat. So yeah, we work with all the same people. We see each other.
Such as like Vincent Martello. I think he was in. He was also on Milo Murphy's Law.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Love working with Vince.
Awesome. Now, who would you say? This might be tough. Who is the coolest person that you have worked with? Who deserves the coolest?
Oh dear. Elvis Costello was pretty cool. And I also got to, and these were on Pete the Cat just recently, I got to record Dave Davies, the guitarist for the Kinks.
Ooh.
And that was phenomenal. Just one of the coolest cats I know was our narrator on Pete the Cat was Don Was. And Don is a music producer. He had a band and he had a band called Was Not Was. But he is the music producer for the Rolling Stones, the original B-52 recordings, Bob Dylan. If you look up at the list of people he's worked with, it's just stunning. And he's just one of the coolest dudes ever.
I'm shocked you kind of didn't say Weird Al Yankovic, because he's
Weird is quite possibly the nicest human you could ever possibly meet. He's stunningly talented, incredibly funny, hugely professional, but also just one of the genuinely nicest people that could possibly exist. It's kind of unfair that a person could be that talented and that nice and that genuine. It makes me deliriously happy that I have had the good fortune to work with him.
I like to hear that. I like when they're nice, like especially when they got that stardom to them. I like when they're that nice. You know what I mean?
It is so great. So great. Yeah, there's, you often you get to meet your heroes and they don't quite measure up. Weird measures up in every single way and more. So
that's awesome. He would be cool to me. I've always wanted to meet him. And he's nice, like wow. Sorry.
Say that again?
I've always wanted to meet him. Like it's cool that he's nice to you.
Yeah. No, he's lovely. He's just lovely. So no other way to put it. It's
So is he as awesome as you, Swampy? Is he as awesome?
I think he may be awesomer.
Wow.
Yeah. There you go.
Now, if you were an animator, director, and voice actor, what do you think you would have done as a career? And what other hobbies do you have besides animating, directing, and voice acting?
Well, if I could wave a magic wand, I'd be if I could have a career as a professional race car driver, I'd do it.
Okay.
I love racing cars. I do it every chance I can get, whenever anybody will let me. And it's a joyous thing to do. And if I couldn't do this, I would hope that I could do that. And I couldn't, because now I'm way too old to do it professionally. But it is tons of fun. Other than that, if I could be a professional musician or even a surfer, that would be fine.
Do you have any hobbies? I think surfing is like one of your big hobbies, if I remember correctly. Isn't surfing like one of your main hobbies?
Yeah, it's I don't go to gyms, and I don't jog or do any of that kind of exercise. And I actually wish I surfed more than I do, but I've just been so busy. But surfing is my physical activity. It's just being out in the water is great. Good waves, bad waves, doesn't matter. And I love surfing with my son. To me, it's the best way to get exercise is going surfing.
Awesome. Now, favorite band or artist and type of music?
Say that again?
Oh, sorry about that. Favorite band or artist and type of music?
Oh, there's no way I can give you a favorite, because my musical taste is so weirdly varied and strange and unique. Because I'll listen to anything from bluegrass music to electro swing, country, big band music, classical music,
surfing music,
80s surf music. I was over in England in the 80s, so all of the original, second wave. I love the Kinks, singer-songwriters. Warren Zevon, if you haven't listened to Warren Zevon, Werewolves of London, his whole catalog of music is just amazing. But there's no way I can pick a favorite, because I think it kind of changes on a daily basis depending on what I'm listening to. I also love tons of instrumental stuff like Dave Brubeck. I can listen to Take 5 on a loop. Sing Sing Sing, Benny Goodman, some of that stuff. No way I can pick.
Is there music you can't stand then? Like you said, you like everything, but is there music you don't like at all? You can't stand it?
I don't seek out, rap music.
Thank you. Sorry.
I just don't think it speaks to me, and I appreciate what it takes to do it and how to make it, and when I hear some rap music, I do appreciate all the rhyme structure and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But the message of the music isn't really speaking to me, and I don't think it's intended to. So I don't have an emotional connection to it.
Yeah.
So I don't seek it out. It's the one thing you can find least on my playlist. And I tend to be less interested in music that isn't played. I like hearing the instruments. I like knowing that there's actually a guitar. I don't like programmed digital music. I like hearing the hands in it. The imperfections of people playing music, that appeals to me.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Someone that understands. I personally hate rap music. Personally, Swampy's favorite food. What's your favorite food?
Sushi.
Sushi.
Oh yeah.
Sushi. Okay. Now, now that things are getting back to normal, do you have any projects in the works? Anything coming up?
Just Hey AJ is the biggie. Like I said, we've got a bunch of stuff doing, internal development that we're out pitching. But the one that we're currently actively working on is Hey AJ.
Now, what advice would you give younger people that want to become a voice actor, animator? What's your advice?
Don't let anybody tell you that this isn't a real job. And that was the problem we had for years, is people would say doing art or making silly voices isn't a real job, and it is. Don't let people tell you that. Pursue it. If it's something that makes you happy, pursue it.
I like to add, stay humble. Remember where you came from. Maybe I like to add that too.
Yeah.
Now, would you be willing to come back on for a part 2 answering some fan-submitted questions? Thanks.
Yes. As soon as we can schedule it. It may be months in advance, but yes, I would absolutely. As long as you guys are patient and willing enough to schedule it with me, I will happily do it.
Perfect. Now, before I ask you my last question, do you have any questions?
I'm good.
Good. Now, is there anything you would like to promote and shout out? Like a Blink demo in the video subscription?
Please go. If A Walk on Water is the surf therapy organization that I'm a part of. We do surf therapy for special needs kids and their families. And if you want to learn anything about it, it's hugely transformative, amazingly beneficial. The website is awalkonwater.org. And please go on, have a look at what we do. Feel free to donate or buy some of the merchandise. We sell really cool merchandise, and all the profits go to more surf therapy. But it's something that I do that I'm massively proud of. So please go have a look at it. It'll make you smile. It'll make you cry in all the best possible ways, and we'd appreciate any support we can get.
I'll ask you if you want me to. I can link down your social media pages if you'd like.
Yep. I have the link in my Instagram, I think, still. Go take a look.
Thank you again, Swampy, for being an awesome, amazing guest. I had a fun time chatting with you. Thank you.
Joe, absolute pleasure to meet you, man.
You
Look
too.
forward to talking again.
Yeah. Have a great day, everybody, and stay awesome. And you stay awesome, Swampy.
Thank you, man.